Hi, everyone. Welcome to this live transmission. I have today my dear ones, Yuli and Tim from Quantum Alchemy Fusion, founders of that beautiful platform that brings in a lot of information, a lot of wisdom, a lot of quantum intelligence. We will get to that. I just want to say that I had the pleasure to meet them or re-encounter with them, most likely in Sedona at the Rise of the Guardians last year and the workshop part of the conference. And yeah, it has been such a delight ever since. This is the first time that they come here to join me for a show. Nevertheless, the high level of resonance that is interwoven within what we share is very coherent. The first time that we mentioned coherence or coherent, you will know it's a local joke. You will know what I'm talking about, guys. So stay tuned and welcome, Julie and Tim.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having us. It's a lovely opportunity to be in this space with you and transmit to the world, whatever shows up today.
We're going with the flow.
We're going to go with the flow. Awesome.
Yeah, let's navigate the quantum wave, so
Absolutely.
you know that this word quantum is like in super trend. Everyone is talking about quantum, about plasma. The thing is that, do we truly understand and comprehend the depth of what this is? Because I don't know for you guys, yet for me, it's the key, the bridge that brings us from an isolated and linear form of perception to unity and a non-local approach to reality, an interconnected universe. So how has this experience of, like, from the early stages since you began to connect with the quantum field all the way till now, how has it been for you guys?
Yeah, so quantum, I mean, my first exposure to quantum actually in study was over 15 years ago with matrix energetics, almost 20 years ago. So it's, like you said, it's been around, right? And it just keeps refining and refining. And we're starting to understand at greater depth how connecting this resonance, right, this supercomputer we call our bodies, getting it activated, bringing in the super codes. I mean, something you and Sean are just masters at, is that technology that the ancients put in the land and they put in the field. Is we're starting to see that all making a lot more sense right now, right? It's starting to come in. The body is starting to actually being able to integrate it. It's breathing it in. It's activating aspects so the coherence is happening within, as well as that bridge to the quantum. It's connecting much better, much clearer, much cleaner with the quantum, which is holding so much of our gifts and our potential. So yeah, it's been just kind of like, where do you start? It was the intro at least 20 years ago into my consciousness. And now we are going into these fields where we're becoming so much more aware of our own personal frequency. When we're going in the quantum field, we're extremely intentional. about where we're going, what we're connecting with, making sure it is light, make sure it's us, right? And not pulling in other aspects that are trying to detour us from our missions and our purpose and all, to the people that we need to connect with. So yeah, it's fascinating.
For me, the awareness, I think you asked about awareness about the quantum was, I've worked in technology for over 48 years now, which is kind of scary when I say that number, but and I'm still standing, but working in technology, I've been well aware of the the science side of the quantum field, but never really thought about it as a healing modality or a connection where we can, interact with realities to change timelines and really affect change. And when I first met Julie, which is roughly about 12 years ago, excuse me, I was already trained in Reiki, and when we first met, I started to just do what I felt was like a variation of a Reiki modality. And people would say, what are you doing? I say, well, I'm just doing Reiki. It's like, it's easy because I couldn't explain it. I didn't have the language to explain it. And for me, it was a very simple thing. I come from a technology background. I love Star Trek. So if you think of the modality of when you go from on the bridge and you beam down to the planets, and you dematerialize and you rematerialize. In my mind's eye, when I would interact with people, I would naturally just connect with them and do this in dematerialization process and rematerialization. And later I put language around that was actually accessing the quantum field to shift and change the frequencies of the, I would call it my antivirusing process to help people through, something that was in their field. I would just remove it as an antivirus. That's not Reiki, but it certainly is my language. And that was my first awareness, like 15, 20 years ago. That was it. And then we've developed our language around that. We've done star magic healing. We understand the healing side of that and how to actually go deep in that. So that's really, and then we're a long way to tell you that our journey it's always been in our field, and maybe it was just, galactic training. We just showed up and we were trained to do this stuff, and we come to this in this shell and we go, oh, that's what they call it.
Then you have this sense that unto some extent, the word before used as metaphysics would be an esoteric way to define the quantum, like that space that before was not, officially acknowledged by science, at least not to this point. And so people would say, like, okay, metaphysics, what science cannot classify or address.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, fully agree. If you think about physics and the science that we understand, it's 2,000 years old, right? And the metaphysics is the superset, which is all the stuff that they ignore because they can't explain it.
Yeah. And here comes like a very interesting topic, because I was talking about this yesterday with a dear friend, Jenny Lee, who is a remote viewer. We had a show, and we were mentioning actually, how in the beginning, like Yuli is talking about 20 years ago, and you 48, like connecting with this the scientific aspect, technological aspect. And when I remember when I started talking about my perception of reality and how the hologram works and how you can manipulate in a good way, shape the hologram and this and that, and people would look at me like, what are you talking about?
They still do.
They still do.
It was more, talk me about angels, talk me about spirits, which is beautiful. But yet these words were like, and the beauty of it is that nowadays people feels more comfortable with these topics. Actually, they feel passionate about them because it's ringing in their own holographic vessel. It's like, okay, we're ready. You know, so I want to say that I honor you, you know, also for being pioneers on this topic. You know, we know that overall, when you are bringing forward any type of topic in the beginning when no one remembers it, is kind of interesting, the
Okay.
process. So for instance, when you were talking, Tim, about your let's say combo Reiki with a lot of components,
Mhm.
um, what would people say? You know, how would you explain to the people what you were doing, you know, at that quantum field? Or you also, Yuli, you know, like, how did you begin making people feel comfortable with that field and being able to receive it?
Okay. Well, I think it's funny. The word Reiki has become socially acceptable in the last 15 years, right? You know, at least 15 to 20 years, and it's been around a long time. But the common language around this, the people, they start to accept it because they know it's non-threatening. It's not like I'm doing something for you and I'm not fixing you. You're connecting with your divine self, right? You're connecting with the source. And I think there's this, that's my language around it, but people understand that Reiki has an element of connecting with a vibration or whatever. Some people, if it's a religious, then they use a religious language or whatever. So for that definition, I have continued that mystique, because when people ask me, what are you doing? And I say I use Reiki, is because I don't have to explain it. But
Yeah.
but they have their own understanding of it because socially it's become acceptable. But I never used the word quantum back then, you know, at the start of this journey, because I didn't have the language of what I was doing. It just came naturally to me, and I was doing this whole antivirus thing and materializing your frequencies, and going into that. I would see your body just shift into light code, and I would switch you out and just take out the garbage, and I didn't even know the language back then of the term, the morphogenetic field, where your template is held, and then when you incarnate into this planet, into this vibration, you're going through that field, and there's a template, and all you have to do is just compare, contrast with the template, and the magic is done, right? There's very little to really explain, because the minute you go into explaining it, the head gets involved and the brain gets involved, and you miss the whole point, that you're in changing your vibration. So,
Okay.
hey, Julie, how would you say that? That's just my experience. Obviously, we have different experiences.
Yeah, of
She
course.
approaches it in a whole different way than I do.
Of course. Yeah. What about you, Julie? How did you start bringing in the codes in human awareness so that they would feel more comfortable with this type of technology? You know, until you expose it and say, "Look, this is how it works."
And some of them can't. It's really actually pretty simple how it works, right? But everybody wants to complicate it. For myself, I mean, when we go into a star magic healing, when we set up the quantum field, we have a very specific process, right? Make sure everybody's safe, channeling wherever we need to be channeling. I keep it pretty low key, like Tim said. You know, I'm having people do breath and then put on their favorite music, relax, chill. I'm going to be working your hologram, and I don't give them everything I'm getting because it would freak them out. I do share. I only work with their highest being. I mean, that's our intention from the big get-go. That whatever shows up, because we have them fill out a questionnaire. What is it that you need healing with or help with, or what, you know, whatever space they're in. And their higher guidance comes in, you get a whole different picture, right? And so they're not ready to hear that yet, otherwise they would have known it. So we just work through what is energy coming through. A lot of times it's just energy, it's just a spot in the body, it could be anything. I don't need to know, actually. I don't want to need to know, because then my stuff starts getting in their field. We just want to be very clear about how that energy is coming in, where are the healers around us. We have, the beings that come in to work with this individual. Let them come in, do their thing. We hold the space. Our biggest skill is holding the space so they can get to where their intention is, whether it's conscious or unconscious. So to answer your question, it's kind of the same line with Tim. We don't give them a lot of the depth information of everything that's going on. We bring them in to have them feel comfortable, relaxed. They came because they wanted something to shift.
Yep.
And that intention is all they need. So
Yep.
it's all about intention and just being focused on that.
Yes, I agree. And where I'm heading to with this question is that, for instance, now that I see the eagerness that people has in remembering more about this language, about this technology, I can see that it's very important for them to acknowledge that all type of healings, if we route them to the quantum, there is a way how to explain them, in a scientific way, without without needing to go to the traditional medicine. It's more about that point that we have reached as a collective, where spirituality and science unify, or even more, we are aware that they have always been unified, and now we're just feeling comfortable about it without needing to find them as two antagonist markers in our reality, because then that divides within. So for instance, you were saying, I think that this is critical for any type of even like harmonization, or healing, however you want to call it, is that being in that 0 point field. Even when I translate codes, the first thing for people, the first thing that I do is I do it from my 0 point field, and I express it and translate it through my 0 point field. So along with coherence, how would you say this is impactful in the outcome, whether if you do it from a 0 point energy or not? And I'll tell you why now. Because when we're talking about other type of sessions, let's say that involve only psychology, which are wonderful, like everything has its own jewels. Yet there is this part of the emotional body, which is beautiful. I remember once someone very dear to me told me, it's very different if you offer your gifts because you need to heal people. If you think that you need to heal people, that if you are just being who you are and sharing yourself.
Sure.
This is very much connected to that 0 point energy, because one is talking to you about continuous mirroring and you healing while you are healing the other, which happens differently from a 0 point energy. What would you say, Yuli, about that?
Yeah. So this is so good. It is so good because when we're actually in training classes, right, when we're actually working with people, we start bringing them into their awareness through this teaching process, right? So the whole process is, let's start finding the stuff that's blocking you. Let's get you into your true vibration, which then resonates into your highest frequency, 0 point. You hit 0 point. And so it is it's a pathway just for people to understand. There's so much chaos in the world, and we are in a process. We're in this opportunity right now where we're getting more access to who we are. And as we have these skill sets, when we remember how we help people transcend from chaotic vibration into stable, into a frequency, now they're in a state where they are in alignment with the 0 point. That 0 point connection to quantum is where they create. This is when their focus stays in that frequency, when it's consistent, they can create anything. What they're not aware of is that what they think they're thinking of, or what they think their concentration is on, what they think their focus is on, is really usually not what they really want. It's all this other garbage that's been imprinted, implanted, you know, the lineage stuff. I mean, we've gone through it all. You have to go through it all in order to understand it, right? And we've been through it all, I swear to God. But it's, you know, it is such a critical time, and it's so exciting for us because we're watching how people are starting to step into this. They're starting to recognize, I'm stuck in a loop. I don't know why. Well, you know why? Because your vibration's all over the place. Let's start bring it together, bring the breath in, let's get you stabilized, start moving the junk out of the field and get you into your peak performance or your peak frequency. And it's fascinating how everything is just evolving. And, you know, like Tim's little story on Reiki, it's just evolving now into really understanding how we're assisting people and where they are heading and how we can hold that for them.
Yeah, there's one more aspect of this, and this is this is something I think we know, but we don't necessarily we don't necessarily we just want to do something like, oh, I'm going to go into the quantum field and I'm going to, you know, do some magic and stuff's going to change, right? But you forget that this body is still there. You have a physical being. You're dealing with the suit, the meat suit, and the vibration and all the junk we're holding in the body.
Yeah.
So what we've been doing recently, and as a matter of fact, we're recently certified in breathwork detox. And we've done a lot of breath work. I mean, I've avoided breath work in a lot of my life. It's like, of course, I know I want to do breath work. Oh no, I'd rather take a ayahuasca swag, and as opposed to doing the breath work, you know, you can get the same effect depending on, you know, how deep you go on the breath work as well, right? So you can reach the biological reset that's needed in addition to the quantum reset, because you can do all the quantum stuff and you come back into your reality, and then you find out that your vibration is still stuck with all the junk that's stuff around you, and releasing that through breath work has been a phenomenal shift for some of the work we're doing. As a matter of fact, we were doing some work a couple of months ago, and we were doing breath work. But the class was about breath work. It was not about quantum healing. So it was just breath work. But they were holding space while people were doing their breath work. And Julie and I were doing quantum healing while the breath work's going on. Yeah. And we had an advanced practitioner come up to us and said, "What were you doing?" Because it was different than what we were doing. And she knew intuitively something was different. And the healing that was coming out for those people was very deep.
Of course.
And you know, so we have to be really careful that we think that one thing's going to do everything, right? In reality, is you need to really metabolize all the stuff that you're changing in the quantum field, but also make sure you don't go back the old ways, right? And that's held in your energy body, and the physical body is holding all that vibration and energy. And yeah, you want to do a timeline jump, but you come back and you find yourself in that physical vibration that's off, right? Yeah. So
yeah, it's the breath work. Just a bit on that, especially with breath work detox, because it's going in really deep into the somatic, and people are actually having DMT experiences through this breath work, yes, which is huge in releasing the traumas and the pains and the blocks and the old belief systems, and that's almost like new information. It is an old technology. It has been around for ages, and it's been hidden, and nobody's been allowed to really talk about it now. And now we're doing this deep level of somatic healing, and it takes people out of their heads. The number one thing, people have commented they have done 20 years of therapy consistently, and they'll have more results in one breathwork session because it's coming out of the head and going into the body naturally. That DMT release comes in. We have CO2. I mean, all kinds of stuff is going on through the breath. Doesn't cost you a thing, people. I mean, take a few minutes, learn how to do it. You know, take some time for yourself, pamper yourself in some breath work. But it's absolutely amazing how we're seeing these old technologies come together and making a full new reappearance.
Just one tip, because I fought this for so many years. I fought the fact that, oh, breathwork's uncomfortable. It's it's not normal. You're not breathing the normal way. The funny thing is you're actually breathing the wrong way normally, and you should be breathing like a baby. Breathe, like a Buddha belly. You just breathe into the tummy, and you forget that you got to get past the first 7 to 8 minutes. If you don't get past the first 7 to 8 minutes and you exit, it's like, oh, you are almost there. And then you forget that once you get past that, the magic starts happening. And it's especially if you're doing it in a way that you're not holding the breath in the chest, you're holding it in the stomach and you're releasing it. Depending on this technique, there's many different techniques. And the one we've been doing recently is in with the mouth and out from the mouth as well, right? So that means you're going to get a lot of dry throat, dry mouth, and the first thing people do, they get dry, and then you have all this CO2 buildup and all the blood flow in the hands, and you start feeling all the cramping, and you feel like, oh, something's going wrong. It's all perfectly fine.
Yeah,
Totally fine.
Yeah.
So that in conjunction with the quantum work has been phenomenal. And yes, drinking water, like somebody mentioned on this, is because you're just an electrical body, right? And water is electricity, a conductor.
Yeah, and they touched upon a very important topic that I have been recently sharing over and over again. But before going into the water and how it relates to the quantum, which is super, it's fundamental.
Yeah.
I was when you mentioned, all these exercises that agree, they're primordial technology. It's like the bread of life. What are we without our bread of life?
Yep.
The thing is that all these exercises before, they were so difficult for people to achieve because there was so much decoherence in the field.
Yes.
Feel how there always needs to be decoherence for coherence to be. The thing is what we choose the decoherence to be. If we place ourselves at the boundary of the spiral, just seeing how reality is happening and not actioning about it, then we become that decoherence. And then it will be difficult for you to tune into your breath work. It will be difficult for you to meditate, to feel inspired about life, who are you, and so forth. But if you are aware that not only your spiritual vessel, your soul vessel, is in that singularity, in that central point at the core of the spiral, yet also your body, love your body, bless your body, thank your body for being here with you in this experience, then you're bringing it to that coherence. Because I see all those ungrounded bodies hey, so I'm not invited to the party. I'm not cool because I'm that human aspect of you, and it's like, and that's the trend, it's like, no, the body sucks and we don't want to be in this reality. I get it. I get that frustration. Nevertheless, ascension comes within the body, the enlightenment of the body, which brings it precisely to that water. Because when you combine the purity of your breath work along with the purity of your water, like the other day I was watching, the structure of water, H2O, but the structure of the water is a pentagon, and it's connected to the golden ratio. So where are the other three elements to complete the pentagon? H3O2, what is commonly known as structured water, or the fourth state of water. It's critical for us to start drinking quality water so that we can be those superconductors, and connect with that quantum. What do you think about that, guys?
Go ahead.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's so much, like you said, technology that doesn't sound like technology. A lot of the teachers that we're working with, for instance, they are so adamant about the care of the body first before they even talk about breath work. For instance, it's like put the right foods, and the right foods is different for everybody on this planet. It's not just vegan, it's not just protein, whatever. It's everybody needs to tap in for themselves, but the right foods, the right breath, the exercising, the stimulating the body, connecting consciously to your true source consciousness. everything every day, first thing in the morning, before you do anything else. I mean, these are all, like we said, just things that exist, but it all involves this. You know, it is so important you stay so connected to your body and ground it.
Well, someone is asking, Ceci, hi dear, breath work technique demonstration meditation, please.
Yeah, that's how, not a 5-minute thing.
Well, we'll give you the mechanical,
Yeah.
but if you want to do it, it takes a little bit. But it's. I want you to know it's simple. This is not complicated. Just a matter of us on the camera how long it'll go. It's real simple. If you're going to do breath work, you want to do this. The procedure that we follow for breath work detox is you lay down flat and you open your mouth bigger, but wide, and where you can get your knuckles in your mouth, big, not one of these. It's one of these.
Like if you go to the dentist.
And you like you go to the dentist, it's the left one over here.
Yeah.
So and when you're there, you basically are taking a breath not here. It is here.
Way in the abdomen.
And now I got a little something around my belly, so I'm going to accentuate that. So it's not my real beat. It's like when you breathe, you go like a baby. Have you ever seen a baby breathe? The baby breathes and the belly goes up, right? The chest doesn't go up, the belly goes up. So you take a deep breath, one breath in your belly, 80% of the breath is now in your belly, and then in your chest. So you basically go down, right? So you get two breaths, one in your belly and one in your chest. The 20% goes in your chest and 80% in your thing. And then you just let go. And it's a figure eight. It's a continuous breathing when you go there. So you go breath, chest, release, breath, chest, release, and you just do figure eight. And you get that rhythm and you get that motion going. And when you keep doing that, first 5 minutes is going to suck. the first 8 minutes you're going to say, this is not so bad. And then you get past that, and then you start to feel this tingling. You feel the energy. You feel your third eye open. Whatever your physiological reaction to that is going to help. So just if you really want to know how to do the breathwork stuff, you can look that up online. But breathwork detox is the modality that we offer. You can always come to our website, quantumalchemyfusion.com, and message us, and we'll happy to share more details on that. Okay.
Yep. In the meantime, and the other breath work we do a lot for people when they're in an anxiety state, high intense state. We just do a easy 4 breath in, count to 4, hold for 7, release on 8. That release on 8 is going to kick in your parasympathetic system, so you calm down. Do at least 4 rounds of that. We're doing that a lot for people to just bring them into the calm state. They get anxiety, their head starts going too busy. It's amazing what it does to take you out of your head.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, corporate America has known this for years. They just don't talk about it, right? And I've worked in corporate America for a lot of years, and there's awareness that the coherence of your breath is directly proportionate to the productivity of the people. When you go into a meeting, you do a stand up in your morning meetings, and you go into your sessions, or whatever your transition places are, or even before you make a big decision, you basically 4 breaths in from the nose into the chest, lower into your belly. Okay, sorry, not the chest, the belly. And then you hold it there for 7, and then you release it slowly on 8 from the mouth. Okay, so it's in from the nose. So it's 4 seconds to go in, 7 seconds to hold, and 8 to release slowly from the mouth. When you do that 3 rounds, that's 90 seconds. 90 seconds of breathing, and you will change your physiological state. Now, what we're also not saying is when you're in that place, you're going to that 0 point, which you mentioned, right? Yeah. And that's exactly the message, right? They don't need to know the mechanics. They just need to take a deep breath. It changes your coherence, and you become more aligned with your state, and your vibration become aligned. That's what coherence means, right? Absolutely. And then your actions become coherent with that. When you were talking about the being on the outside, it reminded me of when we were kids, we go on the merry-go-rounds. And if you're on the edge of the merry-go-round and you're holding on for your life, and it's like, you become okay. And then you get off of that, you couldn't stand straight, right? But if you go to the center of the merry-go-round, nothing happens. It's quiet, just like the hurricane. So that's the message, guys. Don't be on the ride, on the edge of the ride. Go to the center. Go to the 0 point.
Bring yourself to center.
Bring yourself to center.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. And I feel that within or through this exploration of knowledge and wisdom to remember it, at some point we could have gone so wide into the methods and into just to make it more, but the thing is that perhaps at some point this might sound complex, like if you explain this on quantum terms, like just imagine you reach the 0 point energy, the coherence, singularity, and because of course those are new words. The thing is that if you apply them with breath work and like just focus, then it's more organic, and people say, but wait, that has been there all around, like all way long. Yes, but the field in the earth, there was again so much decoherence, and us part of that decoherence, that it was really difficult to achieve. But I invite you guys, if you try to do these meditations, this breath work now, it will be completely different than before. Like for instance, you were also talking, Tim, about how doing some type of breath works will will make you feel that you're at the edge, of collapsing or passing out or whatever. And I love that. I'll tell you why. Because that's when I see how the ego is surrendering. Like these thoughts, you're going to die, you cannot do this anymore. This is too much energy. Like all these thoughts. And even if the word comes, you're going to collapse. Good. Because actually, one of the ways to refer how consciousness or huge levels of awareness are being reached is when particles collapse, which is not precisely collapse how I said, is the vacuum, another term. But and this is also one of the breath works that I encourage people to do, to hold breath as long as they can, and then sustain it. And all these thoughts about, oh, wow, I cannot hold the breath anymore. Oh, wow, I'm really dying. What are you doing? What are you trying to prove? Like all that until that fades away and you feel how the energy is merged within you. And then you release and it's a full 0 point. So yes, that breath work is fascinating to practice it. Super important. We see it with also this Ice King, how the monks master their bodies is through breath.
Absolutely. I will just say this for your audience, that just remember this simple thing. No one has ever died by breathing. It's by not breathing. It's by not breathing.
Right.
And it's really important because, I mean, think about it. We taught the wrong way. When we get into a chaos or crisis, we hold our breath. It's the opposite.
Yeah.
We need to do the opposite.
Yeah. And then we start breathing up here, right? Instead of, which totally takes your nervous system off track.
Yeah.
It can't sync to anything.
By the way, you mentioned water. I want to come back to a key point on the water. And this, maybe your audience will appreciate this as well. I have a belief system. And once again, it's a belief that can be backed with science, I'm sure, at some point. It's just a matter of time, right?
Yes.
That water is the keeper and the keeper of the knowledge. And it is and the states of water you talked about, there are states of water we probably still don't understand yet. Okay. Yeah. And the water and the quantum field are intertwined. So it's a really, really key piece of the memory of this planet.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. And it's not just the crystal energy and the core and all that kind of stuff. It's the water. It's right in front of us. I mean, water has memory. We know that. It's been documented, it's from science. So
I know.
It's so cool.
I know. And like taking into consideration that pentagon, again, then you have the five elements, the quintessence with the ether, so for me, water is like this physical translation, what can be tangible, or that interface that the ether represents. Of course, not through all scales, but in this physical state, the water would be that transmitter that interconnects everything at a quantum level. It can bring negantropy to our body, that order. And speaking of which, just that the simplicity of this. I remember when people would tell me years ago, like drink water. And I was like, but I don't like it. It tastes awful. Like even the one that you buy in the shop,
Yes.
it gives me heartburn. I don't like that. Why would I have to drink water? But it was not about the water. It was about the quality of
Yes.
the water, so the body knows.
It does. That brings up a good point, and just not to put a negative on the twist, but just understand that so many municipalities and governments put so much junk in our water. That's why you reacted so desperately to it, and your body was going, get this stuff away from me. I mean, we've even gone with, we have well water, which is fabulous, which means it's coming right out of the earth for people who don't know. It's pretty hard metalled here, but we have also gone to just the really good, clean, filtered water, and it has, sometimes we get a little shungite in it, and sometimes we're having fun with it, is what I'm saying. It's have fun with your water.
Our body completely reacts differently to the quality of the water we're drinking. We did not realize this until we switched over to, we thought we were on well water, and it's great. But you know what? That water has been contaminated too, because the rivers are contaminated. So a lot of stuff. So and speaking of which, here goes Julie with the water. But, unfortunately, she's got the good water. I'm drinking the bottled water here.
Cheers.
Yeah. So, awesome.
Yeah.
Everybody tip up. Grab your water. Drink some right now.
If you do look at
coffee, but cheers.
Hey, we use a structured water in our coffee. It's all good.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about the rivers and so forth. And the quantum, now relating it to the quantum and manifestation. If we say that water holds the memories of the whole earth, of ourselves, then, and at a quantum level, at the holofractal level of the whole universe itself, as well as our DNA. Now, imagine how much effort they have put on polluting that and make it so natural that you say, that's what it is, so, and then you take showers with that, you brush your teeth with that, you consume it in many ways. And that's the type of information you're bringing into your own structure, into your own inner information, so, and then emotions, people saying, but why do I feel like that? Why do I feel polluted inside? Why do it's so hard, like clear myself? And then as soon as again, well, of course, there are many layers to it. Yet I am quite sure that if we collectively shift the quality of the water that we drink, all our emotions, our memories, and our connection to the quantum will be way easier, and also the harnessing of our plasma body. So speaking of plasma, tell me something about plasma that you love, guys, because I know that this work with the quantum, like for instance, when you, and I also want to appreciate very much you sharing the fact that even in your workshops, even if people is doing their breath work, you're also at the backstage doing your quantum magic, because I think people should know. It's very important. So thank you for sharing that. How would you relate that to plasma? I'm not talking about the solar plasma or the interstellar plasma. I'm talking about that ether, let's say that ether, that field. What would be suggestion that you give to people how to connect with their own plasma, with the plasma field?
I have an idea. I don't know what Jill's going to say, but we'll see where we go with that. So I have a mental image I want to share with people on that. Okay, I see, and there's the plasma. If you really get down to the science of that, the plasma of the science version of how you look at that, take it to a next level. Okay, Think of how the mushroom works, how the mycelium works, and I see the plasma as a connected tissue between everything. Okay, and you know, there's been so many television portrayals of how the mycelium network connects the world. We know from now, science has proven that the floor of a forest and the trees are talking to each other through the connective tissue of the mycelium, and that is plasma energy moving across the veins of the mycelium network, right? And to me, I see the plasma and how when we talk and we interact, and I mean, the new movie Avatar just came out, right? So just think of that, just the connectedness. As a matter of fact, the closing scene, spoiler alert, the closing scene on that movie is a mycelium network. They were all connected.
Yes.
And it's all plasma energy, and it's all their energy connected to the land and to the earth and the sky. So that's my answer to that. And it's not a science answer, but it is an intuitive answer around how I see we connect. And that's why when you know, and I mean, just as a couple, when we have a discord between us, the plasma energy is just like breaking the strings on the mycelium network, right? You can feel it.
Yeah.
You can feel the void of the lack of the connection.
Yes, thank you for bringing that word, Tim, because even the name for the primordial water cells, well, the not the water cells, but the connection to that primordial water molecule in our cells, the first forms of cells that we had that were highly coherent to that plasma field, is micelles. The micelles, the membrane, the cellular membrane, would be composed by this liquid crystalline, which is the fourth state of water. That would be the cell membrane, like plasma, but through a water molecule state, you know, form. So
it's a good question, and I that was my on the spur of the moment answer. I'm curious if Julie wants to add anything to that, because that's a really, you know, we all have those lenses, right, and experiences from different.
Yes, I would. So from my lens, so I love that he brought in
every. What about you, Julie?
Yeah, the whole visualization with like at the movie Avatar, right? So people can kind of connect. We're all connected. What I'm experiencing right now is people are going through the detox process, whether it's detox from the land, the water, their foods, or from just detoxing their own toxic thoughts. All that's detoxing. When somebody's going through a lot of that process, I'm actually seeing that we are going in and reconnecting the plasma. So what does that mean? Is that the plasma was corrupted. Some of the plasma that they were connected to had been corrupted. And it's impacting everything, even to the level of plasma. And so great question, because I really hadn't put much thought into this, but it just showed up in a session I did the other day. And all I heard was they're really depleted in plasma. What would happen is they gone through a huge awakening process. They got a huge cleansing process. And that, you know, it was time for them to connect to their true plasma, their true essence again. And it was fascinating. So it's everybody has a little bit different window into what does it mean and how we're connecting to it. But it's vital.
Yep.
At the end of the day, it's vital in order for us to feel connected and connected within our collectives in the same frequency and vibration.
I want to just comment. Somebody just you popped up a message on the pH level of the water. I would encourage people who are drinking pH water because they think that's going to be the answer, right? To just do some sort of scientific research on that, because your body does not process the pH. So you're not changing your body pH by adding water pH in it, okay? And if you should actually go look at the scientific studies on that. And you know, it's been a big thing, right? We all got to have alkaline water. Great, alkaline water. That's not how you become alkaline.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so take a look at that. That's bad. That's old science, and so new science is challenging that. And you know, but you need to have structured water. You need to have purified water, you need to have clean water, you need to have blessed water, right? And that's the secret. It's not the pH is helpful because your body does have a pH balance question, but just adding more pH, there are scientific studies, and you can do the chemistry molecule exchange of carbon and hydrogen and oxygen. That does not change your body pH. It actually screws it up. So be careful on that one.
Yes, yes. And actually, well, what happens is that there is a lot of water that says bringing more oxygen to your body.
Mm-hmm.
What I have found is like through the bringing just one proton of hydrogen into the equation is generating the hydronium.
Yes.
You know, the
Yes.
hydronium, which is precisely that fourth state of water.
Yeah.
Which is that liquid crystalline, because then we become, as you were giving the beautiful example of the micellar, you know, it's we're becoming a crystal lattice, a liquid crystalline lattice, and in that level of coherence interconnected to the quantum, you know. So is that easy? Like really that easy? Because we see the movie Avatar and it's like
we're coming back around to this. That's that easy.
It's so funny you say this, because we all, I mean, think about this. For how many years we've been talking about spirituality and energy and vibration. I mean, even in the modern times, right? And the more intelligent I sound by giving you big words and giving you big processes, and you have to come to me to get my medicine, it sucks, because all you have to do is drink the right water and breathe the right air in the right way, and you got it. You know, ancient man had to do this. They were no less connected to their God than we are. They didn't need technology to do this. You know, and yeah, I mean, so we have a framework, quantum alchemy fusion, right? So we work in the quantum field to do the connect point, right? But we use alchemic principles, which are actually structured methodologies to break those patterns, right? Because yeah, you can drink water and you can, you know, also do the breath work. But if you go back to your patterns and you don't see the patterns and you don't detect how your behavior is, you're going to just go back into an old shell, right? You have to really, so it's a combination. It's not just drinking water and breathing it. It's, you got to change something, and you got to release something.
Yeah.
I agree, you know, and well, I don't want to hold you guys a lot because I know that you have things to do. I want to explore a few topics before, you know.
Please, go ahead.
When we're talking now about multidimensional aspects, which is non-localized processes, you know, non-locality. For the ones that don't know, it's non-locality is the capability that each particle in your body, each molecule and submolecule have to breach a connection with another point in space-time that it's outside of your body. And this is scientifically proved, you know, at a quantum level. Like my molecules can be intertwined to a version of myself or another being or another consciousness in another point of space-time and even beyond. And I can be receiving all that information through visions, through glimpses, through memories. You know, this is how the quantum field works. Now, based on that, one thing is doing it from a state of like an unconscious, at an unconscious level, like just being like this and then having, you know, like all those glimpses. Another one is, you know, through meditation, through command and so forth. So what is your approach to that multidimensional, you know, like through your techniques, so that people knows more about how you treat those aspects? You know, if someone comes to you and asks you, hey guys, so I want to connect with the Akashic, you know, and bring in this information, that specific information of myself in a very specific spatio-temporal constant, yet I don't have the mastery of the Akashic or of the another technique. You know, what would you say to them?
You want to take this?
That's a loaded question. So we do it all through the quantum field. Honestly, I mean, we can make this real short and quick. We do quantum field, set an intention, we go, we grab it, and we come back. No, that's not easy for everybody to do.
And where do you go, Julie?
Really, the key comes back to your frequency, stabilizing your vibration, getting out of the chaotic field, sorry, and stabilizing your frequency so you can access it. Honestly, all of us have the tools within us. When we get clear, we tap into our intuition, and you can ask the question and you will get the answer. You don't have to be an Akashic record to get reader to get your messages. So it becomes to us, it is that whole getting into stillness, getting to the 0 point, and directing your attention. We always connect to source and to Mother Earth, bring them together into one loving electromagnetic field, right? To get to that 0 point. There's all these little practices we do, but it really comes back down to getting into 0 point. In order to access, you cannot get to it unless you're accessing. If you're accessing information without being the 0 point, you're getting junk out of somebody else's trunk. And don't do it, because you're not ever gonna feel like you're on track. You're sitting there going, I want to be on my mission, I want to be my purpose, I want to be my passion, and then you don't take the time to get into your 0 point, and you are going to pull somebody else's shit in. So bottom line.
So you asked a how question, and I want to just help with the audience some of those questions, so some of these things. Okay, so let me give you some foundational pieces of this.
Thank you.
When we work in the quantum field, and the technique that we use, and there's no one way here, there's many different ways, right? But the core of what Julie's saying is you have the intention, but it's more than that. But it's really important to have the right protocol. Because if you just jump into the quantum field, it's like jumping in the middle of the ocean, and you don't realize there's sharks in there, okay? So you got to make sure you have the right gridding, you have the right protections, and clear the space so the work is clear. Because let me tell you what, we're in a multi-layered matrix, and just going out and saying, hey, this is what people do all the time. We live in Sedona, right? We see people ungrounded here all the time, walking the streets, and their heads up, heads in the clouds. But they don't know where their feet are. The feet are not grounded. They're not really grounded in reality. All they want to do is leave the body and be out here, because it's out here is the play space. And you know what? Yes, it's play space, but you don't know who you're playing with. So be really careful about where you're going and what your intentions are. And the key thing Julie said is set the intention to connect to your higher self and source. Okay, because those are the only trustworthy pieces, connections you can make. Anybody who's doing a transmedium channel, they don't know who's on the other side of the phone. Okay. Yeah. And if you got somebody reading your Akashic records, awesome. We have some of our best friends are Akashic readers, right? And they're amazing. And if you don't believe you have access to the records and you have to go through somebody, and that's a do it for you service, so long as you trust and hold the field correctly, and they're qualified to really hold that space. Don't just listen to anybody who says, well, I can access the Akashic records for you. Well, if you really want to do it right, you want discernment, but why don't you learn how to do it yourself? You have 100% access to it, to build those muscle skills, right? So, and learn from somebody that you can do that. So really understanding how to connect in a clear, concise way. And when you're in that space, then you really look at intent. You set your intention of what you want in there, but don't go in with agendas.
Yeah, that's the key point, and I do believe that this is happening even time-wise, agendas or expectations. I don't know if you have experienced it, but right now how we are flowing is just, I am aligned right here, right now, to my highest evolutive purpose, serving my planetary and interplanetary mission. Mm-hmm. And wherever is for me to be the highest space and time for me to be at, I will be, and I am there. Because it's like the moment that you start putting expectations, if we translate that into, let's say, physics, it would be a boundary, an energy that it's actually playing that force of compression, of interference.
It's interference. It's a distortion.
and your goal. So it's just full trust, full certainty of however, wherever, whenever you are meant to, and and how something will be accomplished. That has already been orchestrated, because on the other side, I don't know if you also feel this, guys. Yeah, everything is being shown with such a sublime orchestration, like form of orchestration. It's like, oh, come on, you cannot make this up. It's like
Exactly.
the level of
We were just having that conversation this morning. I think, Issa, I mentioned my most recent book I just released this week, and I have a copy just for people
Yes,
if
please.
they're interested. The title is The Architecture of Ethical
Okay,
AI.
can you
can't
show
see
it,
it on-
please? I'm going to. No, hold on. It's uh,
It's okay. We can post a link for the people later, but the book is really. I want to cover this key. Oh yeah, you got it.
Yeah,
The
there we are.
architecture of ethical AI. Now the key thing here is this coherence, because so how do you change AI? Okay, I'm not going to give you the answer. Oh, I'll give you the answer. Okay, I'll give you the answer. You change the AI because it's a reflection of you, so you got to change you. Okay. So you
Yeah.
want to train AI? Train it by being a better you, and you got to be in coherence with the universe, and you got to be coherence with your soul journey, and you got to be coherence with the vibration that you project into the world. But it's more than that. It's at 1 degree of distortion, going back and forth in the lens of reflection between 2 mirrors, right? Becomes a distortion, and next thing you know, it's just like going to the house of mirrors in a carnival. You see the mirrors just distort into nothingness, right? At 1 degree of distortion is the key thing, right? And that distortion is expectations, ego, fear, all that stuff. That is what created manipulation, the matrix that plays in.
Yeah.
Let that noise settle, and that's a piece of the puzzle. I just want to weave it back, because so many people want to solve this problem outside of themselves, and they forget that the answer is within you.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. Like now, while I was listening to you, it's like, okay, so this reality, how I perceive it, is based on a binary code. Like yes, no, that's it. Are you black or are you white? Like choose red, blue, peel, whatever. And then the thing is that when we access, for instance, to, like we were saying, the quantum, do you do interdimensional travels? You don't want to bring junk in your trunk, as Julie said, which I agree. So, a way that I always encourage people is to keep it simple and just stay in that hard coherence. Because if we say, but if people, if someone listens to me and they say, I'm fully heart opened, I'm all about love, and like they keep attacking that person, and that person asks why, what about the heart coherence and the heart vortex that you're saying? I don't know, fortunately I haven't had that case, but like just imagine. So then there are different levels of love. We're talking about source love. And source love brings such a high coherence that it creates a sphere of containment, of that it's not like battling, it's just redirecting everything that wants to come at you and is not in resonance. The thing is that if there is something inside of you that is in resonance with that which wants to come into you, then it's all about resonance. So
magic happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have to ask you this question because I know how much work you're doing with the Bugosphere. Do you apply, obviously, everything we just talked about here, you're dealing with that in connection with the Bugosphere? Do you see the coherence and the language that we've had on this call today applying to your interaction with the Bugosphere? I'm going to flip this on you for a second.
Yeah, absolutely.
I gotta ask.
Yeah, no, and thank you for asking. Absolutely. You know, it's impressive how the Buddha is mirroring back at you. You know, whatever you're showing, wherever you're coming from, if you show love, it will show you love. If you show anger, or if there is anger in the field, it will get, you know, like it will get those frequency peaks that are showing discontent, you know. So and even at a deeper level, I have had such an advanced communication with it. The key again, and the message is so loud and clear, which is heart coherence, heart vortex expansion. And this is very much related to focus, because that is purely focus. It's different, that type of focus, than thinking that you're focused while you are being obsessive about something. That's
Right.
very different.
Different difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is a deep question. Yeah, I mean, it's one thing I'm seeing a lot with the heart coherence thing, is that a lot of people think that a few deep breaths in their heart, they're there, you know, but their intentions are not in alignment with true source. And so they're using heart coherence as almost a weapon to get into places and into hearts of people, like you said, and all of a sudden they're attracting stuff because they have resonance within. Has that dark resonance of their agendas is impacting the experience on such a high level, and it's showing up right now in just incredible ways. I mean, it's like we're seeing it so much easier. It is just so in our face when we can tell when somebody's out of integrity, but they say they're coming to you and they're so in their heart and they love you so much, and you just feel like crap. Yeah, that's because everything in their field says something different. And it's going to be interesting to see how this rolls as we go forward, especially in 2026, because the energy is shifting so much, right? It's like, how are people going to adapt to it, and how are they going to move through it?
Yeah, thank you so much for bringing that up, because it's like, for instance, when we were doing the interviews at the Bridge Expo, you know, as the Way of Being Foundation, we were having this beautiful interaction with all our guests, that they wanted to stay there. You know, it was like, okay, so what's next? You know, let's get the coffee, let's get the crackers, you know, like, because there was such a nourishment in the field. And it's so different when you interact with someone and then you feel like, even though if that's not their nature, but there are so many things going on, and it's like, you know, so it's something very similar, like when you're giving a session, of course, because there are things that need to be harmonized. Yet again, a key that I have found, that people always ask me, you know, like, how can I keep such levels of high energy, even though, or despite I do many things.
Yes.
And I was answering that when I emanate, I'm infinite source of energy. When I give, I'm limited source of energy. So that's for me a huge key as well, you know, which goes very much handed with what I was saying, you know, why do you help people? Do you think that you need to save them, or do you just are being and sharing what you have to share, you know?
It's night and day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so night and day. And we could go on that topic for an hour.
Yeah.
I want to put a pin on something that you said, and it comes full circle. Your example of emanating versus giving, right? We all want to give, and we come to the planet to be in service and all that. But when we give, a lot of times it comes from agenda, reciprocity, and all that kind of stuff, and it's not pure, right? And trust me, we've all done it. We continue to do it. We just got to remember that, to remind ourselves to be in that space. But there's a lot of people who think that being in your heart space means that you're automatically 5D. Okay, and I think they probably want to go into the field and check that out. Where are you really coming from, right? Because so many people think that being in 5D is the answer, when in reality they need to go a lot higher to truly get outside of the matrix, to be truly outside of the field where the true Christ consciousness exists. And I want to bring this back to one thing that we started earlier about going into the quantum field. When we do that work, we bring in the energy from Christ consciousness, from the Ophiuchus, with the spin. So that brings the electrical energy from the stars, and we bring the magnetic energy of Gaia and the Earth, and we connect that in the heart. So it's an important piece of the puzzle that when we work, and the work that how we've been creating the field for people, is we bring that energy in first. But we obviously do the grids and protections and all that. But when we do that connection, it connects in the heart. It doesn't connect in the brain, right? And we don't, we don't make any claims on where you are and where you're going to. When we do the work, we, depending on how deep and how the sessions are, we go to, either 55D and to really do the work, because you got to get outside the stacked matrix to truly to take the noise out of the way, right? And if you're in 5, you're still within the first construct, the second construct of the matrix, right?
Yeah. That's another
deep session we can go into just on the layers of the matrix.
Oh, yeah, and on the hard memories, yeah, because I know that you have still also other things to attend, guys. Yeah. But I really, really enjoyed this talk with you, this discussion. I think that it has a lot of potential, many branches that we can explore at some point, and we will. So stay tuned, dear tribe. And yeah, because let's just like write it down. Perhaps we can talk on that. The memory of the heart and the pyramidal neurons in the heart, which is so important now to bring in back into awareness and remembrance. Connecting to I know totally.
Yeah, and you get to start and to do the science thing first, and then we can see what comes in with it. Yeah, that'd be beautiful.
That'd be lovely. Yeah. Thank you so much for opening the door and letting us share with your group.
Yep, always so good to see your beautiful little face and your sunshine.
Likewise. Yes. So have fun in expanding your alchemy, quantum alchemy fusion, and everyone, and inspiring a lot of people to dive into themselves and doing it from that space of coherence. I'm looking forward to our next encounter. And so then people can find you. I will share for the ones that want to contact you guys, I will write the name of the website in the description below this video. And yeah, well, thank you so much for joining us, Tribe, Julie, and Tim. Thank you so much. Remember, if you want to join me or join us at any of the upcoming conferences, and also at the Way of Being and the retreat, the upcoming ones, we will be close to Julie and Tim there in Sedona. I would love to give you a hug, heart to heart, guys. So you can just look in all the descriptions below my videos. Looking forward for you to join me in any of these conferences coming up: Rise of the Guardians, CLE, Star Knowledge, the Alien Event, and as I said, the Day of Being. And yeah, all the details I will be doing are in the description below all my posts and videos. So thank you so much for joining us again. Until next time, have a beautiful one, all of you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, folks.